Here, hit, here, hua, here, sutya! Which is, of course, Linkish for... Now that it's been a few weeks since the Switch 2 has come out, I think with the benefit of some time with the system that what has emerged as the standout launch title for the console is, against all odds, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. See, nothing impacts the zeitgeist quite the same way that Tears of the Kingdom did, with many people, myself included, taking time off for the release of the game to spend adequate time with it before the internet does what they do and runs in and spoils the crap out of the entire thing. I took 2 weeks off to play the game, but if my boss ever watches this video, I will deny that. Now, attitudes toward the game have been well enumerated at this point, so I won't go too deep into talking about the story and its pluses and minuses, its positives and its shortfalls, but I do think that this video by Zeltic pretty well sums up my opinions on the story in total. I agree with basically everything that was said. So, if you want to know my thoughts on the story itself, go ahead and pause on this screen and watch that video in another tab and come back here when you've watched it. You'll pretty much have my opinion. What I want to talk about is the mechanical behavior of the game, because I have found that nothing quite shows off what the Switch 2 is capable of quite the same way Tears of the Kingdom does. The Zelda Notes app in particular stands out to me as a feature that I think shows the commitment to synergy across platforms that Nintendo has never really had. As you run around Hyrule, if you have the Zelda Notes app open, you will wander on spots where Zelda pops in from whatever ethereal plane in the past that she beams her consciousness through, or beams her thoughts down from the sky, if you know what I'm... And you'll get a little widdly wee on your phone, which you stop and pause, and a memory will come up, and she'll voice her thoughts.
When Link was on the brink of death, had it not been for your voice to guide me, I wouldn't be here now. Though I cannot hear your voice anymore, I still offer you my thanks.
I do think it's pretty cool, actually. I was skeptic first. I thought, oh, this is going to be a gimmick. You know how back in 2012 we were experimenting with cross-platform app-to-game synergy? It did feel like a gimmick, but I kind of like it in execution here. It's a little bit more story in a game that could use a little bit more story, and in which the story was actually quite good. The most interesting mechanical benefit to come out of the entire thing is your ability to transfer information from save to save across users and across your own platform. For instance, being able to transfer items from one save to another, 10 items at a time. Now, certain things like dragon parts are easy and, dare I say, quite fun to collect in Tears of the Kingdom, but maybe you just don't have enough giant bright blooms because those little bastards are hard to find down in the depths, so those are easily transferred over. Also, the Switch 2 app is proving quite helpful in everything having to do with the Switch 2. I find transferring captures to the cloud and pull them down onto your phone, much like I did to gather clips for this video, is as simple as uploading to the app, downloading to the phone, uploading to OneDrive, downloading to the computer, uploading to DaVinci Resolve, and then cutting into the video itself. Simple as can be, right? Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to see with this feature that Nintendo has finally caught up to where platforms like PlayStation and Xbox were back in 2013. Performance-wise, this is the way I think Tears of the Kingdom was always meant to be played. You can see in that gorgeous draw distance and the marvelous 60 frames per second that the game runs at, even, yes, in the Kokiri Forest, Korok Forest, or Lost Woods, or Dark Woods, or whatever they call it in this game. I can never keep it straight. There have been so many names. The depths, even, are rendered in perhaps the most splendor they ever have been. And the depths, to me, when I was first playing through the game, were probably my favorite part of it. It was such a dark and ominous and oppressive feel, and now that dark, ominous, and oppressive feeling is even more potent, making me feel a dread that I haven't felt since showing my report card to my parents when I was in high school. And I think between the games that are available on the Switch 2 at launch, it does a much better job than, say, Mario Kart World at showcasing the versatility and the power of the console. Sure, Mario Kart World looks great, but Nintendo games always look great on their own hardware. That's the one thing they're really good at, is showing everyone how good a game can look with such minimal resources. Just look at Luigi's Mansion 3 and how that game just was gorgeous from the jump, even on the original Switch, which the Switch itself felt dated at launch. We don't really have that with the Switch 2. It feels like it could stand as a contemporary to things like the Steam Deck. Maybe not the ROG Ally or things like that, but we'll see how that develops. I think personally this is going to have much longer legs. Now don't get me wrong, Mario Kart World is a very fun game. It's a Mario Kart game. They're always fun. But the open world to me falls flat, and the game doesn't really make much of a use of it. I do like the knockout tours, but they don't have enough new content to... Well, I don't think any bit of Mario Kart World justifies the $80 price tag. Frankly, if I hadn't gotten the pack-in bundle and I had paid more than $50 for Mario Kart World, I'd probably be a little bit upset. $80 as a price point for video games feels a little up its own butt anyway, so we'll see how up its own butt Nintendo's going to be as more launch titles like Donkey Kong, Banana Nana Manza Randa Ranza Manza, and this fall's Pokemon ZA and Metroid Prime 4 behave. So, of all of the games available at launch on the Switch 2, and I have yet to buy Cyberpunk 2077 for a third time, we'll see what happens there, that Tears of the Kingdom is really the game for me that feels like the launch title that the Switch 2 was supposed to have. In fact, were I more conspiratorially minded, I would say that the Switch 2 was maybe meant to release back in 2023 alongside The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and that Tears of the Kingdom was developed as a Switch 2 title. I personally think that the way the game performs today is the way the game always should have performed. I mean, we can't say the same thing about Breath of the Wild, as that game is older than my daughter, but I do think Tears of the Kingdom, there are legs to say, and maybe it was COVID, maybe it was microchip shortages, maybe they really were just trying to bolster inventory so that people like me could wander in and pick one up day one without scalpers having to charge $800 for them, or the immensely competitive pre-orders that were sold out before I could even reload the page could actually get one for a reasonable cost. So, I guess thanks, Nintendo? Regardless, if you really want to see what the Switch 2 is capable of, play Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It is a mechanical marvel, even on this hardware, and everything works better than it ever did. Even the ability to transfer auto builds between saves. That hover bike that you build obsessively and every single time you play, you can just transfer it. That awesome bike that I have that shoots cannons and fires flames out of its butt can transfer that too. Even your giant Korok crucifixes with the massive flaming phalluses, those can be transferred too. And that, I think, is really what it's all about. In conclusion, hit ya, ha, hoo-ya.